Boom, we are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Life as a Chad YouTube channel. And I thank all of you for being here, wherever you may be. And of course, however you may be listening. I've had a few mentions of this clip, this podcast, with regards to a previous video that I made surrounding Sydney Watson. And there's been a few other videos that I've made regarding the conservative females in the conservative space. And there are some people who react in, I think, a logical, solid manner. And then there are some not so logical responses, which I will get into. Either way, a few of the responses have mentioned to me Sydney going on the Blair White, I think her name is, channel, the Blair White's YouTube channel, and using that as some sort of evidence against what I have said in the previous videos with Sydney on the You Are Here podcast and other places. I want to point this out right off the bat that number one, I could care less about Sydney Watson in general. Okay. I will even admit that at one time I did watch some of her content, some, not a ton, but some. So I understand people that do. The second thing is that the only 2 or 3 points that I have put forth for people to think about is with regards to her political affiliation, which I would categorize as old school liberal or metropolitan liberal. I would not categorize it as modern conservative, not neocon, not paleocon. She is a old school liberal. She is in, I would say she is closer to Dave Rubin than she is to Steven Crowder, okay? Or whoever, Gavin McInnes, whoever you want to use in the right-wing space. Weirdly enough, some people have pushed back on that and been like, nah, bro, she's a fucking conservative. She is a major conservative. Okay, so that's one gripe. The second gripe that I have had towards her, and this one's not even necessarily towards her as it is to the population at large, which is I don't think men by and large should be following these chicks' channels because for the most part, most of these guys who end up watching these channels, although it may start or have a tiny bit to do with some agreement they have with that chick, even though she's just parroting something some other guy has said, most of it has to do with some unconscious, feeling of possibly being her boyfriend. Okay. That's the nicest way I can say that, which is total lunacy. It is in some way, shape, or form, not all the way, but close, not all the way, the same as how guys follow chicks on OnlyFans, okay? Not the exact same, but in a lot of aspects similar, okay? The third thing is I just thought that she had a poor personality and that, again, going back to the first thing, she wasn't conservative and she was in a conservative space. And I think the fact that she wasn't conservative was coming to the forefront and a lot of people were noticing. When she was on the channel, she was very whiny, and on the You Are Here channel, she was very whiny and pretty unpleasant. And I called that out. Because of those 3 things, some people feel the veracity to push back and defend said Huaman rather than just hearing the point, taking it in and logically thinking about it and assessing the opinion. I think that my thoughts on her in the past were fair. I don't think I came at it with any heat or unpleasant heat. I think I was very fair. I think she has some talent in what she does. I don't know how much longer she will continue to do this. Politics is a dog eat dog world, and she's been around this game for quite a long time. I mean, when I was in college, she was even around then. So, we'll see. But nonetheless, we are going to check out, because this is one of the things that people who push back and said, but you're wrong. But what about this? She went on the You Are Here podcast and explained it. So I am going to pull it up and I'm going to listen to it and see if there are any truth to these claims that her appearance on the Blair White podcast will answer any of my gripes. All right. We fucking go. Here we go. Here we go.
Basically, I don't watch a lot of the shows, at least not from start to finish, which I did all the time with You Are Here. I gotta tell you.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, that's so surprising.
I don't watch anything because I don't like anyone, but I like you.
Right off the bat, I can't help it. But Blair White, when you put her next to a legit chick like Sydney Watson, you can tell immediately that something ain't right. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Man, oh man. Wow. Here we go. Let's continue.
Well, so I was like,
I like you too, Blair.
Yeah. I gotta tell you though, it was a brutal show to do, like as a guest. Like there was.
By the way, this is an important point to point out. There's a good segment of not only the conservative party that pushes back on the whole transgender, whole sexuality, modern concept of it, but more specifically, there are a lot of conservatives that think we should not give in and associate with this. So I'm pointing that out to say the fact that Sydney is on this channel and so la-di-da about it, I think that says a lot about her political beliefs. I don't think she gives a fuck about that. I think she cares as far as it not infiltrating schools, but as far as, the whole homosexuality thing and transgender thing as a whole in the country on a very general surface level plane, I don't think she cares much about it at all because, again, she is an old school liberal.
There was something about the audience that was uniquely intense. Like, I remember the first time I went to...
If you're not aware by now, and you should be, Blair White is a transgender, okay? Just pointing that out.
Go do it, and we were in the hallway before we went on, and you were like, just so you know, the chat's really intense. I'm like, that's fine. I've been doing this internet shit for a long time. And you're like, no, it's like really...
I've been doing this internet shit for a long time.
Bad.
Uniquely intense.
It was uniquely intense because it's not just that they would be brutal towards the guests, which did happen, and there was a whole Jack Murphy thing. We got to talk about that. But there was also like they would like drag you and Elijah. I'm like, they're even dragging. Why are they here then?
Well, that's the thing is.
Oh my gosh, we got to hear that again. I cannot move past that. I cannot move past that. We have to hear that again. We have to hear Blair White's voice crack. Why are they hear that? Why are they hear that? Here we go.
But there was also like they would like drag you and Elijah. I'm like, they're even dragging. Why are they here then?
Well, that's the thing is, I think that online live chats are especially psycho. I feel.
Why are they hear that? Oh my good Lord.
I feel like there was a very loud portion of that chat that just hated me, which, so be it.
The portion that Sydney Watson is talking about are groypers. She didn't have the courage to state their name outright. And here's the thing. I wouldn't say they dislike Sydney on a personal level or even dislike all of her political beliefs, but they do not think that women should be in politics. They think that they should be at home. And by the way, I would challenge you to go back and watch Sydney's content. She has content like that as well, that women should be at home and living a more traditional role. I know because I have seen content from Sydney about that. So when they see someone like Sydney on a show, they're like, this is a fucking waste. What are you doing? You're 28 years old and you are ruining your childbearing years. What are you doing? And you're preaching about conservatism, yet you're out here at 28, 29 years old, not getting married or nothing. I also think that, there's a good portion that, just thought she was insufferable. But the other thing is, and I'm going to point this out further down the line as well, but anytime anyone pushes back, and Sydney will do this as it moves forward, I believe, anytime someone pushes back against a chick, it always ends up being, well, they just didn't like me because of my vagina, because of what I have in between my legs. And it's like, no, it's because your argument sucks and you weren't able to convince them. And they, listen, say what you will about conservatives, but I think that a good portion of them want to learn truth and find truth. So if you're not offering it, they're not going to buy it.
But you're so likable. I'm not trying to even joke about it. You really are.
I mean, I like to, I appreciate you saying that, because I like to think that I'm not as big of a dickhead as perhaps some other people are, but...
You're the nicest person in the space, in my opinion. People are crazy in this space. You know that.
They're completely psychotic.
It's insane.
And I mean, the other thing too is I've noticed a lot...
Takes one to know one, Blair. Takes one to know one. I'll just say that. I mean, I've never met either one of these people myself, but I mean, come on, Blair. I mean... do we really want to go down that road?
I was thinking about this because I was like, I wonder what we're going to talk on this podcast. And I was thinking to myself, this is such...
Please, Sydney, you guys talked about it before going on air. Please, who you kidding?
Such an odd time to have
Quit
me on
capping.
as a guest for anything, because
Quit your cap.
I'm in such a weird spot politically. I really feel very politically homeless at the moment because...
No, Sydney, you're a liberal. You were never uber conservative, okay? You're not a socialist leftist like what the modern left is moving towards, but you're not a conservative either. You're not. You never have been. And it's funny because somebody just commented to me that she's conservative. But if that was the case, she would just flat out say, I'm a conservative. That's why it pained me so much when conservative people came against me. But she's not saying that because she's not.
Since the You Are Here stuff, and, granted, I can't really talk about it in any great detail, which is a little frustrating, because I know you want answers, and I know that there's a lot of people who have a lot of suspicions. I will say something that's so crazy about audiences, though, is how so many people have guessed.
People are spot on about, people are way more observant than they are given credit for. I always love how it gets paused. The funniest faces occur when it gets paused. Here we go.
Down to the finer points of why I left the show. It's nuts. I'm like, you guys are so observant.
People, yeah, like a lot of times people will just like be completely wrong, but every once in a while with stuff like that, it's
They're
like,
on the
wait,
money.
how did you know that?
Yeah, I'm
On the money, baby. On the money.
like, is this just from observing? Like, but I also think it's people who've been watching me for a long time who have a general feel and sense of like how I am and how I operate. And I'm just like, you guys are crazy. So yeah, no, that it was uniquely brutal. The audience hated me in a uniquely brutal way.
Yeah, the audience did not like her. She was a drag. I don't know what else to say. She was a drag. She was whiny. She was Mother Henny. I mean, call it what you will. Literally two very successful conservative men went on the channel and she berated them like a mother would. She really did. Whether you agree with those two guys, Nick Fuentes or not Jaden, Kai Schwimmer. That's exactly what she did.
But I also just think that there's a portion of that audience that hates women, and they'll just pick on you just by virtue
of course, Sydney, of course. Because they don't like you, therefore they don't like women. You realize that most men love women. Most men love women. This argument that gets presented, I despise it so much because it is such a cop-out. It is such a deterrent to the truth. It is such a deterrent from actually responding to the criticisms. It's the same as liberals who call conservatives racist because they don't want to address the actual point. She's doing the exact same thing, but just with the fact that she's a chick. That's all that's going on here. And I think that it is a low frequency argument. It's not an argument. It is a criticism. She has nothing to push back with, and so she falls back on that. Because, of course, all of her ideas must be spot on. Of course they must be. Therefore, if it can't be that, if her ideas are beyond reproach, then it must be that they just dislike her because she has a vag.
of the fact that you have a vagina, which I find really corrosive.
Oh, and there we have it. There we have it.
There was a lot of woman shit going on with you. And then when I was a guest, there was a whole lot of other shit going on.
That's the other thing as well, is that I always think to myself, if we bring on a guest, right, it's to hear that guest's unique perspective. You have an exceedingly unique perspective.
Yeah, but Sydney, multiple times you talked over, you cut them off. I'm already tired of this clip. Let's just wrap this up.
Yeah, there's only really one of me.
There's one of you, even like when we had Buck on, I loved the episode with Buck that we had because Buck is such a warm, loving, kind human being. I actually loved as well, even the episode that we had with Ariel, and she would...
Listen, I want to comment on that. Even though I am pushing back on what Sydney's saying here, I don't think that you should be nasty. I don't. I really do believe in positivity. And I believe in the concept that you attract more with honey than vinegar. Okay. I'm not, again, these are just points I'm making contrary to what she's saying right now. I'm not attacking anything personally. I'm sure she's a very sweet person, and she has built up quite a life for herself, quite frankly. It's antithetical to what I think would provide her the most happiness and what I think should be done. But a spade is a spade. She's done well in the space. So I don't think you should be nasty on these things. I think I will also say, though, that there is a fine line between being trolly in a way that is not nasty. It appears nasty, but it's not. And that is what the liberals get so mad at conservatives about, because they're so good at memeing and being trolly, and it appears nasty, but when you get it, it's not, because it's just poking fun.
We put her on with like a men's rights person.
Oh, I remember that.
And they were good. Like, I love that. Like, even the tension between the two of them, because they've been around for a long time in the space, and so they knew how to interact. Mm-hmm. That was cool. But it's like when you have audiences that just hate you by virtue of the fact that you happen to be, someone that maybe is a little bit different to them. I'm just like, come on,
how can you win?
Well, exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's like, what's the point in listening to different views?
Honestly, Sydney, if that was me, I would have pushed through. I would have pushed through, because in the end, had you done that, even if they disagreed, you may have gotten through to some of them. But when you bow out, it means that at some level you somewhat believe what is being said towards you. So I would have stayed with it.
Viewpoints, if you're not even willing to hear them because of
I mean, how I look at the comments, I like reading your guys' comments, everybody's comments, but truth be told, I'm never gonna meet any one of you fuckers out there in the real world. Okay. It is such a slim chance. And so why, if I'm not gonna see that, why would I create some fake emotion off of some artificial response towards me? And I think Sydney should feel the same way.
Who's speaking them.
Right. But I think that overall, I don't think you should look back at the show as something negative, because I think it was actually a great show. I think it was produced great. I think that, its reputation preceded itself a little bit because like the intense like guest interactions, like Jack Murphy, Nick Fuentes, etc. But I thought it was iconic.
I appreciate that. I know a lot of people are so disappointed that it ended, but
I am.
I mean, a little bit of what the reasoning was behind it. But for me, people can say that it's because I'm a silly female who couldn't handle the pressure or whatever. That actually has nothing to do with it. It just was not a sustainable environment for me to.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it, because it sounds like you could have pushed through, Sydney, honestly.
And I feel like I can leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, you have every.
I mean, a little bit of what the reasoning was behind it. But for me, people can say that it's because I'm a silly female who couldn't handle the pressure or whatever. That actually has nothing to do with it. It just was not a sustainable environment for me to be in. And I feel like I can leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, you have every right to leave any environment you feel like isn't producing positive results in your life. I firmly believe in that. I mean,
yeah, I agree with that. If it's not working for you on a personal level, you have the right to bounce. I do also think that on the same token, sometimes you need to just push through and persevere and just say, I don't give a fuck. And you need to self-assess and say, is it more me? Is it more me that is reacting to shit that shouldn't matter? Or is it an actual, terrible environment / hostile environment? So I'm going to leave it there. I think there's like another minute on this fucking clip. I'm not surprised by a damn thing she said. There's been no answers given at all. The people who commented to me that I was going to find some answers here were totally wrong. Totally wrong. Matter of fact, this is exactly what I thought it was. It was exactly what I thought it was. It sounds like exactly what I said, which is she didn't like the heat that she was getting from the internet with regards to her performance on the show. And that's the end of it. That is the end of it. Now, if you can't handle that because you want to white knight for Sydney, well, so be it. By the way, it never fails. Any video you make about a chick, you can always count on several guys galloping to the rescue. For McQueen, for McQueen. And it's like, okay, dude, let's see what you got. Oh, you can't say that to my queen. Okay. All right. Gotcha. Listen, I wish Sydney the best. I think she should probably start focusing on her personal life and what she wants to do there. I will say that podcasting, if you want to become a mother and start a family, podcasting is probably the most accessible job or gig to do while doing that also. I really do wish her the best. There were some things that she discussed a while back that I agreed with. The current, for example, the current state of fat acceptance or healthy at multiple weights. I agree with her take almost all the way through on that. I would say I probably agree with at least 80% of the things that she says, but it's those finer things. It really, really is. I really just think she just wasn't the best for the slightly offensive, and it didn't work out. Or excuse me, You Are Here. It didn't work out. All I've ever said is that she's a liberal, which is fine. I don't care if that's the case. It's funny how people get mad towards me when that's the case rather than Sydney, who is the actual liberal. But what are you going to do? Let me know what you guys think of this. This is not the biggest story in the world. As I said, once I stopped following all these, YouTubers in general, it's really hard to keep track of all this, and it just doesn't seem as big of a deal anymore. But if you do follow Sydney, let me know what you thought of these comments on Blair White's show. Let me know what the future holds. The last thing I want to say, my biggest problem with YouTubers in general is the massive talk about these things with little action. And I think we could probably do a lot better with that. I think conservatives, or the conservative side, does a great job of profiting from outrage. But what are you going to do? Let me know what you guys think in the comments about this. Please consider hitting that subscribe button. Help your boy out. By the way, the channel's only been up for a couple months. I really do hope you guys consider hitting that subscribe button. Subscribing definitely makes you feel good. Like, comment, share. You know the drill. And without further ado, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow and facts your feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.